I remember thinking, if things ever really get bad, I can always move to the jungle. I knew nothing of the jungle then. Learned nothing until I went to Iquitos 4 years ago. Iquitos has 200,000 inhabitants, but no roads in or out. I wished to know something about what the jungle meant for certain men as they led certain expeditions east. Candia looking for Ambaya, Maldonado looking for Paititi, their failure and thousands dead, but also, and more importantly, Orellana, his absurd and magnificent stretch, the Amazon, from the Andes to the Atlantic. 17 hours upriver in Bacamari and Pequepeque to the edge of Pacaya Samiria, 2 hours in a canoe, and then we walked 4 hours more. I had not understood that the base camp would be so distant. My guide's name was Moises, that's Moses. I did not believe in portents. Smaller rivers and creeks encircled us. In Iquitos, Moises had asked me if I wanted him to bring regular food or if we should let the jungle provide. I did not know what he meant and guessed wrong. Out hunting caimans that first night, Moises walks a few steps ahead with his shotgun in one hand and his machete in the other. I'm wearing a borrowed mining helmet to keep both hands free. Dragonflies the size of blackbirds crave the light, strike me in the face again and again, their bodies crackling as I crush them in my hands. A line of taxis, 6 in a row, none of them correct. Most snakes also hunt at night, Moises says, so you must never grab hold of anything as you walk beside the river, not even if you are about to fall. Any given vine or root could suddenly writhe in your hand, could sink its fangs into you. Antivenomins are available in the hospitals of Iquitos, he says, but no one envenomed here ever makes it that far. You might make it back to our base camp if you're very lucky, but antivenomins require refrigeration, and there are no refrigerators at base camp. On the trails, there are also scorpions and ants and tarantulas that move like severed hands. One ant leaves a welt on my arm that will last for weeks, yes. These ants wait until someone or something brushes against the thin white trunk of the tree in which they live and then swarm out. They will even drop from the leaves and twigs above. It's not easy to keep from slipping off the logs that hunters lay to form paths above the waist-deep mud of low jungle, or to keep Moises from cursing you for your clumsiness, your noise, for ruining the hunt again, or to keep from falling into the water where the caimans wait and the coral snakes. The second night we go out in the canoe, drift, and Moises did not want to bring me, is sure my weight will sink the craft at some point, and he is right, but it is included in the price of the tour, so what can he do? There are torches fore and aft, Moises in the bow with his 3-pronged spear and his club, and me in the stern with my paddle. I ask him why we can't leave the snakes alone and just canoe along. Thick frog song melting around us, the torchlight reflected and rippling in the wake. Moises points to dark huts along the riverbank. There are children, he says. They come to fetch water and to bathe, and their mothers bring laundry and soap. Some die each year of snakebite, so we visit when we can, and what we do, it's only a kind of cleaning. Just then he sees one. The spear flashes. He pulls it back up, and I see nothing but a thin, twisting darkness held against the bow. The club slams down, the spear tip flicks, and the snake is gone. Moises kills 4 more that night, shows me the colored bands on 2 of them, and we do not sink until the very end. I reach to catch the edge of the makeshift pier, and the canoe slips one way and another, and Moises and I are in the water. I hold to the gunwale until I find my footing. The water is shallow and warm there at the bank, and Moises says he will never again take anyone so fat on any kind of tour. My clothes slow to dry, and 2 more taxis, both blue. There are also the mosquitoes that comes in waves of thousands. I have repellent designed on behalf of the British Special Forces, and even it is useless. Moises laughs when he sees it. He says that there's no reason to waste so much money, that the jungle itself provides repellent of the highest quality. He leads me to a rotten stump, hacks at it with his machete, and brings out a handful of termites. Nature's repellent, he says. He rubs the termites on his neck and arms, his face and back and chest. He rubs very lightly, not hard enough to kill or even injure the termites, just enough, he says, to irritate them into secreting the repellent. When he's done, he smells of eucalyptus and hands the termites to me. Does it really work? I say this softly and with downward intonation to show that it is not really a question, that I'm only making conversation, that I do not doubt his expertise. He answers anyway. No, he says, but at least it's free. Joel never returned from Guyana. Another taxi, a yellow Tico but new, and Orellana leaves the Americas a hero, plans a new expedition, 5 ships and 300 men and his new wife. He loses 3 ships in the course of the crossing, attempts to explore the Amazon upriver from the mouth, but loses most of the rest of his crew to malaria and poisoned arrows. He falls ill himself, dies of fever, but his wife survives, marries another survivor, and there are things that must be seen, the whole of the sunset sky caught across the wide river, and the freshwater dolphins, said to be pink, but in fact a fluid collage of purple and silver and orange. There are things that must be smelled, the sweat of the quivering shaman as the ayahuasca takes hold, and things that must be tasted, capybara roasted over wet wood, and water that pours from the cut vine. It pours and pours from the 3-foot length, more water than can be imagined. There are things that must be heard, the red howlers screaming at dawn, and things that must be felt, the cool, smooth skin of the fer-de-lance that was waiting beside the path, waiting to be woken by footsteps. And Moises saw it in time, held me silent, cut and limbed 2 branches, drove the forked one down across the snake's spine, and beat at the head with the other branch, a solid minute of beating. Then the clear brown venom dripping from broken fangs into the palm of my hand. And there are things one must know from inside them. The rain, for example. Elsewhere, one is told that rain is a temporal thing, that it started at 12:30 and ended at 4:20. This is a sort of lie. Rain is spatial, and this will be known on the river. The rain comes, an opaque curtain, a line on the black water past which the surface roils. The front edge of the storm that is closer now and closer, and I duck as it moves over me. I am inside, and it is a living thing, furious around me and beating warm, the great chaotic heart, and at times it is hard to breathe. The water or the air is so thick. Thank you.